president said over the weekend in Ohio to the graduates there, pay no attention to those voices. Dismiss those voices who warn of tyranny. This is one of the most incredible things I have ever heard from a president of the United States. Pay no attention to those who say government can get out of control. Pat, would you find the speech that that Eisenhower gave on the military-industrial complex? Do you remember what that is? That whole conspiracy theory of, military-industrial, that came from the military-industrial complex. That came from Eisenhower. Yeah. Eisenhower knew. He knew. Here's a president, and I believe the last president that really spoke fully the truth. Here's a guy who said, warning, America, warning. This is going to fundamentally change us. And so you have to remain vigilant against the military-industrial complex and the government. What's incredible to me is for the first time, the bookend is here. How can this president who says, who's a fan of the military-industrial complex is taking over everything, who's gone from country after country after country, warning and apologizing because American governments have been out of control, unless he means the Tea Party did all of this. He warns. Now listen, anybody who isn't so arrogant he really truly believes this is a sign. He believes that he is going to be in power, or his people will be in power for the rest of eternity, because they'll always be benevolent. He's teaching a generation. Everybody's going to always be as benevolent as me. They'll always be as benevolent as me. So disregard any of those voices. Let me give you something that, you tell me who this sounds like. Last century was a century of genocide, a century where evil rose up again and again, swallowing the lives of millions. But evil met its match. Goodness eventually prevailed. People like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Martin Luther King, Lech Walesa, Mother Teresa awoke the world. They gave their lives in pursuit of human rights. They took their side of justice against injustice. They held aloft the torch of freedom to push out the darkness of hate. These men and women lived difficult lives. They often lived shortened lives. They were often born to relative privilege, but willing to take on suffering. They didn't want to martyr themselves. They would have been happy just to live the end of their natural lives in comfort. But to the righteous, there is no comfort when evil has taken root. But the cause of human rights has been taken over by organizations who share very little with those individuals who led the movement. Human rights was once a cry for justice. Now it's used as a threat. These organizations have become bullies and grotesque parodies of the principles they pretend to represent. They criticize free nations and spare the unfree. They denounce nations like Israel and America who have high standards for freedom, and leave alone those nations that have no freedom at all. They are nearly comical in their double standards. Whatever moral force they once had is spent. Their time is up, and so we must dismiss them. Today I propose a new path, a path led by you, the individual linked in arms with individuals. A path where governments and so-called human rights organizations get out of the way, where the people come together and solve our own problems as God intended. Some may ask, why not leave this work up to others? The well-connected, the well-educated, the well-heeled, our political leaders and the media. Well, I ask you, whom do you trust to do this sacred work? Who will protect your rights better, a king, a president, or you? Who will protect the truth, a reporter, a producer, or you? Who will protect and teach your children to seek the truth? A textbook committee? An educational bureaucrat? Or you? Did a commission of wise men stop the Holocaust? Did a committee of Congress end Jim Crow? No. In each case, the work was done by individuals who would not abide inconvenient lies. They saw injustice and they called it out. They saw their nation wage war against a single group and they said, not in my name. They didn't wait for the conventions of society to catch up to God's laws. They pushed, they pressed, and they were victorious. The Spirit lives within us. I believe you will link arm in arms with others and stand with courage and walk behind that pillar of fire. I would tell you who said those words, but it would greatly discredit those words. But those words are true, just as true as they were when I spoke them there at the steps where Jesus taught in Israel for restoring courage. When I walked off the stage on Saturday in a speech that I didn't have a speechwriter write, and that's why I ran an hour and 40 minutes. It's a speech that I wrote, a speech that I didn't want to listen to the speechwriters because I felt all of it needed to be said, and I'm glad that it was. I don't know how many people will watch it or see it. I know that the tens of thousands that saw it on Saturday that were there at the NRA, I have heard from many that said they were changed. I walked off the stage from that speech, and I walked down the stairs. And if the NRA wouldn't have stopped me, I just would have kept walking to the car. But I walked off the stage, and I walked back, and I said to Joe, one of the guys I work with, I said to him, and so it begins. Whether any of us like it or not, we live in a time that we're all going to be doing things out of our comfort zone. We're all going to be pushing the envelope of who we really are. We are going to be accused of horrible things. They are setting out to destroy Wayne LaPierre and anyone at the NRA. I warn you, I know. I had somebody actually sit. I actually had somebody sit across the desk from me one time. And they were a supposed friend. And they said, you know, everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody wants to take you apart. And there are people that are doing investigations on you. And I started to feel a little tingle run up my spine like, where's this one going? And the individual reached down and picked up a file that was, would you say that is 6 inches? 6 or 8 inches, and put it on the desk and said, you know, a man who has a wife like yours, boy, it's always a shame when they don't treat them right. Because when people find out, that's when I sat up in my chair and leaned into the desk and said, you're exactly right. That's why there's nothing like that anyone would ever find out. Because it's not, nor has it ever happened. I have been threatened. Others around me have been threatened. And I will tell you that those members of the NRA who are on the board, if they haven't already buttoned up their life, they should button up their life. If they've done something wrong, they should get that out. They should correct it and get it out. As I said to you a few years ago, if you are not standing in the pillar of fire, if you've done something, you better correct it now. And I'm not just talking to those in power. I'm talking to you as well. You cannot be beholden to anyone. You cannot have something that even you feel bad about. Don't put it in your past. Atone for it and put it in your past and have no fear about it. Get it out. Tell the people that matter. They're still going to smear you. They're still going to do everything they can, but you can't live in fear. As I told Wayne LaPierre on Friday, I said, Wayne, you know you don't end this. You don't go out with your reputation. You know that, right? I won't reveal his part of the conversation, but I'll say that to you as well. You know we don't leave this with our reputation. You know who they are. You know that they're radicals and revolutionaries, and then they read Saul Alinsky. I don't know if anybody really heard the part about Saul Alinsky in Saturday's speech, but I will stand and fight against anyone who teaches or uses the tactics of Saul Alinsky. His own book starts with a tip of the hat to the world's first revolutionary, Satan. To quote him exactly, Lucifer. I'm sorry. I will fight, and I will stand and fight, and I will do it relentlessly every day of my life. My knees will bow to God. I will not tip my hat to Satan, nor anyone who tips their hat to Satan. Sorry, not interested. We are in a different fight, and this is for the entire ball of wax. ABC News headline, it was what, Stu? What was the headline from ABC News?
It was, let's see, Glenn Beck at NRA rally, freedom of all mankind is at stake.
That is true. 100% true. Now, there's two ways to fight. You can get angry and pick up your gun, and that's what they want you to do. But I'm begging you, hear me now. Please hear me now. I'm going to be announcing in the next probably 2 months, definitely by Man in the Moon. If we don't have it going, we're going to start it at the Man in the Moon that week of Independence. I'm going to be announcing, I'm going to put all my cards on the table. I have known what I was supposed to do for probably 6 years, and I have prayed, please no. Please no. And I feel that Saturday it began. I was overwhelmed with that feeling. It's the only thing. It's I've my horizon of what I'm supposed to do, what he wants me to do. This is it. This is the last thing he's told me to do, and I don't know how it goes, and I don't know how to do it. But we begin here in the next couple of months. We'll show it to you. And I'm going to need you. Boy, am I going to need you. But I would suggest that if you haven't done the 40-day challenge, the 40 days and 40 nights of cleaning out your life, believe me, I'll bet you there are people who are members of the NRA that are wishing they would have done that now. I don't know, but humans are humans. Men are men, women are women. We all make mistakes. Clean out your life. 40-day challenge. Begin it today. We'll post that at the front page of glennbeck.com. Will you? The 40-day challenge.